Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Landy Lodge, where today we're talking all things Zelda, and we've got an amazing guest for you. But before I introduce that handsome gentleman, allow me to thank these beautiful, handsome people, the sages of the lodge. The wonderful names you see on your screen are those who donate as little as $1 a month to keep my nonsense going. If you would like to join this list of legends, there are links in the episode description for you, or you could just become a YouTube channel member. But just know, all I ask is you come hang out. Everything else is a bonus. Major shout out to Akira the Don for that sexy opening track. And without further ado, allow me to introduce today's guest, a man that I met 1 year ago tomorrow. Born0fKokiri, my man. How is it going? How are you doing tonight? Thanks for stepping in the lodge.
Yo, Landy, what is good, man? Thank you so much for inviting me, dude. It's been a pleasure. I'm excited and ready to talk about all things Zelda.
Dude, me too. It's a good time to be a Zelda fan for a multitude of reasons, but it's not every year we get a mainline title. I almost feel like it's a Zelda holiday when you get a mainline title.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, there's no shortage of things for us to talk about. But, before we kind of dive into that, I am curious if you would just kind of let us know your history with the Legend of Zelda series, how you were introduced to it, and maybe just tell us what your favorite game in the series is.
Oh, absolutely. So I first started off. What my first introduction with Zelda was actually through Ocarina of Time because the N64 was my first console, and I played that game constantly for hours and hours on end. And truth be told, like a lot of people ask me, like, where does my name actually come from? Like, my name actually comes from me starting the game in the Kokiri Forest in Ocarina of Time, and because of just playing the game after so much, um, of course I was born to be the Zelda fan I am today. So, and then I just started playing other games like Majora's Mask, and then Skyward Sword, Twilight, Wind Waker, and then like of course Breath of the Wild. Like honestly, like I guess you can say I've binged to like every single title in the series other than the original Four Swords. But it's been quite a journey here and there. And personally for me, and now as far as my favorite title is, honestly at the end of the day, I still gotta give it to Ocarina of Time. Like it's just I mean, I'm not saying like, oh, I may be blinded by nostalgia, but
I mean, it's a respectful choice. It's the game that I think, like, A Link to the Past really launched that franchise to another level, but I feel like Ocarina of Time pretty much sealed it as immortal. I think so long as the video game industry exists, I think The Legend of Zelda is destined to be a heavy hitter, and I think a lot of that started in that Ocarina era. I know for me
yeah.
personally, I go back and forth. My favorite is either Breath of the Wild or Majora's Mask. I have a thing for when the series breaks its mold, even though I absolutely adore the games like Ocarina and Twilight Princess, which really kind of honed in on the series' strengths. But for some reason, I just have this soft spot for the entries in the series that just take these big risks, be it with Breath of the Wild's gameplay or Majora's Mask's storytelling. So, this is obviously stationed to be a sequel with Breath of the Wild, which while it was a, overwhelmingly positively received game, a lot of legacy Zelda fans did have their gripes with the game. So I'm curious, what was your overall impressions of Breath of the Wild? How did you feel about it? And if you have any, what did you think are its biggest strengths and biggest weaknesses? I think that's a good place to start.
Yeah. Truth be told, when I first got involved with Breath of the Wild, I was like amazed. I was like, oh my god, like Hyrule is just massively huge. There's like so much to do. And I like how in most mainline and most Zelda games, like they usually go from like point A to point B. But this game, you can just go anywhere you want. You can do anywhere you want. Heck, if you want to go strike down Calamity Ganon, like, go for it. And honestly, like the combat system is just phenomenal. Like I like the implementation of using different weapons to your different playstyle along with the Sheikah Slate. But it's just it's really great. Now, I mean, the only minor thing that I do have with Breath of the Wild was just like mostly the lack of dungeons. Though, like honestly, I kind of wish the Divine Beast, mostly added in like more variety, like more enemy variety, because that's something
Yeah.
that Breath of the Wild, you know, intentionally lacked though, like more enemy variety, like hopefully, Tears of the Kingdom will provide us like more traditional Zelda dungeon kind of wise though, but
Hmm.
that's just me.
Yeah, I actually fall in that same boat. I think the biggest problem with Breath of the Wild is the missing legacy dungeon design. But in the same breath, I think the whole shrine system I adored. I actually think that was my favorite part of the game was just running around, hunting down shrines, checking the radar. I need to get all 120. I like there was something about those little mini bite-sized dungeons that I absolutely adored. Where I felt the game was weak was I think you were getting at inside
Mhm.
those divine beasts, which is really where it's like that's where we want our big temples to come from. And ultimately, I found Ganon's castle to be such a letdown because I just used Rivali's Gale and just got to the top and just skipped over the whole inside. I mean, I eventually went back in and explored the whole thing, but like I was able to Rivali's Gale myself to the top. And while I think something like that is like cool in theory, I do kind of like the idea, as much as Breath of the Wild freed the player to do literally whatever they want, I really wouldn't complain if you had like pocket linear, right? Where it's like, okay,
Yeah.
we're going to force you through this one spot as opposed to the rest of the game, which is open and free. But overall, you seem to kind of. I feel like you and I are in the same boat about Breath of the Wild. Love the game, have your gripes with it, but to me, it was the whole exploration aspect that really took me over on both my
Mhm.
playthroughs.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, honestly, yeah, the game, does have a little bit of flaws, but honestly, I
Hmm.
still consider it to be a masterpiece.
Me
To
too.
this day.
It's something. It's I grew up on Ocarina. That was the first one I played, and to me, it's almost
Hmm.
like Breath of the Wild felt like what Ocarina felt to me as a kid. You almost know what I mean? Like when I was a
Same.
little
Yeah,
kid.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
yeah.
because as a kid, like you felt like of course, you're just ignoring all the vibes, or not be like, hey, listen, like all that kind of stuff. But like, as
Hmm.
a kid, you like, you just let your mind just get creative and just go anywhere you want. Like, hey, maybe I can go to Zelda's castle, or maybe I can just go to Kakariko, get all the spiritual stones in Ocarina of Time.
Hmm.
And Breath of the Wild, it just felt just like that all over again. Like, hey,
Yep.
like I definitely want to go get this stuff and like get some new like abilities for the Sheikah Slate, or hey, maybe I want to, complete all the shrines, or maybe find a few Korok seeds over there. I mean, talk about getting all of them.
Yeah, that's the one. I did
Uh,
a lot of things in Breath of the Wild, but collecting all the Korok seeds, I passed on that one.
Yeah, no, thank you. I mean, I did all 120 shrines, but
Me
I can
too.
say the award is worth it.
I did it twice. I loved
Oh,
hunting
ooh.
all those shrines down. I deleted my file and just did it all again because I had that much fun. I really did. So
I
go ahead.
no, yeah, I'm agreeing with you. I'm just saying, like, I agree with you. Like it's like going on a big scavenger hunt is like finding all those shrines, and like it just feels like rewarding, because that's what Zelda
Hmm.
games are for. Like when you find an item or you get a heart piece, it just makes you feel rewarding, like every time, no
Yep.
matter what you're doing.
Exactly. There's that sense of accomplishment at the end of all of these little micro tasks that lead you to like a major one. So with that out of the way, I do want to get into Tears of the Kingdom, but I want to shout out all these early birds in the chat: Orpheus Joshua, Stilette Leray, Kevin Ribeiro, Lands of Masters,
Lance King.
M.A. Will's Word, and who we got over here? And Princess Kyora over on the Twitch side of things. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Obviously, we're talking Zelda today. This one's for all you Zelda fans out there. But let's talk a little Tears of the Kingdom, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's talk a little Tears of the Kingdom. So Nintendo's playing this one very close to the chest. They're
Yeah,
showing us little by little, and personally, big fan. Big fan of
yeah,
this sort of like breadcrumb advertising. And you know that probably in the last month leading up to it, they're going to go absolutely crazy when it comes to just
absolutely.
showing us everything. So, what are your sort of early impressions with Tears of the Kingdom? What kind of vibe are you getting? And is it enough to excite you?
I'm honestly am loving everything we're seeing so far. So I totally get that they're not showing too much, and I really want them to keep doing it, because I don't want
Mm-hmm.
too much to be spoiled. Because I know, Bill Trent at Nintendo, he promised that he didn't want to like spoil too much information or too much details, for the game, just to ruin it for fans. And they did that for Breath of the Wild, to where they didn't ruin too much, and I like that. So what I'm thinking is, what I like so far is, like, honestly, it looks like the combat system is gonna be a little bit different, because you can see, like Link's hand is already messed up.
Yeah.
Like it gets so infected with the malice and everything after dealing with Ganondorf, and like I feel like, honestly, it just impresses me that, like, it's been so many. We haven't seen Ganondorf in a mainline game since 2006, and that was like when Twilight Princess came out.
Right.
And it's been and it's just good to see, like, the great King of Evil make his grand return once again. And honestly, I'm ready to see what he's going to bring to the table. Maybe this will like clean things up from what we got with Calamity Ganon in Breath of the Wild, because I was not a really big fan of Dark Beast Ganon and Calamity Ganon in Breath of the Wild. So honestly, like, the gameplay looks great. Like, seeing this, like, I want to learn more about the Sky Islands. I mean, I'm hoping we can save Zelda. I'm hoping nothing bad happens to her, along with, Fi, who resides as the spirit of the Master Sword, So I'm honestly, this game looks really promising. I feel like it's gonna be a little bit much darker kind of comparison to, like, games like Majora's Mask and like Twilight Princess. More taking, like, its very, very big, serious kind of direction, though, pretty much.
Yeah, and it's funny. I feel like it's like the Zelda way, that if you're gonna make a direct sequel, you have to go darker. I seem to, and this may end up being my own little headcanon, but based on what we've seen, I'm not sure. It seems to me like the obviously the sins of Hyrule are gonna come to the surface, and from what it looks like, all the technology that Hyrule has been thriving on seems to be sourced by Ganon's power, right? Like, that's what it appears to me in that trailer, when you see, like, the malice and the power flowing out of him and up towards the surface. And to me, that would explain how he was able to control all of the Guardians, right? Because they were run by his energy. They were fueled by his energy.
Exactly.
So, things like that I really love. Because obviously, Link and Zelda and Hyrule, they're the good guys, right? But, life isn't always that simple. And, Wind Waker Ganondorf kind of alluded to this a little bit in, like, his final speech, when he talks about how, being in the sands of Gerudo and the harsh weather conditions, he always was envious of the kind winds of Hyrule. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And I wonder, right? I don't know how familiar. Are you familiar with the Shadow Temple in Ocarina of Time?
Yes, actually, I am. I believe. I'm trying to remember, though. Like, I feel like it was oh my god, it was I knew it was like a Sheikah training ground. I think, but I know it was like, I think it had like some involvements, like oh my god, I'm trying to. It's been a while though.
Yeah, it's all good. It's very subtle. It's not very on the surface, but it's you are right. It's like a Sheikah training ground, but it's also where they kept their war prisoners. So it's also like
exactly, yeah,
where they kept prisoners
because you
of
have
war.
because you have like chains there. You have like skeletons just roaming around, and like
and prisoners course, rotted to their death underground in that prison.
Yeah, and like when you pass through like walls and like reuse the lens of truth, or something like something about like you are starting to feel and understand like the blood of Hyrule or something like that.
And you need the lens of truth, right? You need the lens of truth in order to get through there, right? You have to see through sort of the facade being put forward. But, when I think of stuff like that, the Shadow Temple, Ganondorf's speech in Wind Waker, I almost feel like it's all coming to a head. You know what I'm saying? It to the point that, Hyrule's going to need to learn to thrive without sourcing that power from Ganondorf.
Yeah.
But, at the end of the day, a lot of this story stuff is very speculative, so I don't want to get too caught up on it. Maybe we could dive back into it as we get down the road. But I guess what I want to focus on, at least for right now, is what can they do about gameplay here? Like, what can they do so that this game doesn't just feel like, which, it pains me to say this because I've seen it so much, but like Breath of the Wild DLC. How do they keep this game from feeling like, oh, why wasn't this just DLC on Breath of the Wild? What can they do to make this game feel like it deserved its own entry, feel like it deserved its own title? What sort of things could they do? Because at the end of the day, we can't go around exploring Hyrule for the second time. That's not going to feel fresh. That's not going to feel
Exactly.
new and novel. So, well, what are some of the things you're seeing for them addressing that?
Well, I'm thinking like, like I feel like there's going to be a lot of creativity involved and a lot of new ways of exploration. Like for example, like of course, if we remember when we saw in the final trailer back in February, we had like the underground, and we saw all of the goblins and the mining business. Like in Breath of the Wild, we never got to like
Mm-hmm.
experience and explore in underground territory. I mean, yeah, we there's like some caves here and there, but having more involvement in like going underground, because because that's usually been a thing for for some Zelda games. Like, like you can see like Link going underground, like going downstairs in dungeons and stuff like that. Like that's definitely was like about traditional Zelda, because like it mostly combined of like going traversing the places both above ground and underground for like exploration and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like there's just going to be more involvement to like what we can do, like what can we do in the underground. Like what were some things that weren't even present in Breath of the Wild underground that's going to be showcased here in Tears of the Kingdom, pretty much.
Yeah, I'm sort of sharing that same sentiment with you. And again, all these sort of sky islands look really fun to explore. I mean, I'm hoping they have connections to Skyloft from Skyward Sword. Obviously, we're seeing a lot of
Yes.
nods to Skyward Sword here, which I feel is one of the strongest stories in the Legend of Zelda series. So
Yes.
pleases me to see that. But like the whole trope with Zelda at the end of the day is, the main character's Link. He's the link between the player and the game, right? It's a way to
Yes.
sort of
Exactly.
not like live vicariously through him, but connect to the game and connect to the world of Hyrule. And I feel like Breath of the Wild was about taking that a step further. Be like, okay, now Link is not only your link into Hyrule. Hyrule is now yours for the taking. You can go in whatever direction you want. Like it's now your adventure. It's not just your Link. It's now your adventure. And when I see some of
Exactly.
these latest interviews, it seems like their way to elevate that is to now bring this sort of element of customization into the series and into the game. We're seeing it with these sort of customized vehicles, right? They're kind of showing that one on the nose where Link is on like a wagon, and then he's in like a hot air balloon, and then he's flying
Yep.
on this like Falcon device. Do you think that's the direction they're heading here, where they're gonna let you craft, they're gonna let you create, they're gonna let you
Oh yeah,
build?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I feel like there's going to be like a connection with all this stuff. So like since like honestly, I kind of have a little bit of theory about that, like the whole like the green stuff, like
Do it.
especially
Let's
like
go.
because the thing is, like we have the like if you go back to the artwork, we see that Link has like these green like flasks on his left hip,
Hmm.
and I feel like it's gonna be like some sort of magic that's gonna be given by Zelda as a gift. Because when you do think about it, in Wonder Tree, we saw that mysterious woman like as like a figure just standing there and just helping Link and giving him his power. And honestly, my theory is and I honestly feel like it probably like could be Zelda, maybe reincarnated like as a goddess, just like how Zelda was in Skyward Sword when, of
Hmm.
course, she was fully reawakened as the goddess Hylia in Skyward Sword and understood her potential. And I feel like that's what's going to happen in this game is that, um, because in Breath of the Wild we know that it took time for Zelda to reawaken and discover her powers,
Hmm.
pretty much. And this is going to go much more further and for Zelda to awaken her powers and what she needs to do to like help save the kingdom, because it's going to take a lot more than magic to save the kingdom. Because in the trailer Zelda says like Link, I don't think you'll be able to stop him this time. So there's going to probably be a lot something more, maybe it's going to have something to do with the whole Zonai thing that everybody is talking about.
Yeah,
That's what I think the green.
I'm seeing a lot of people get on the Zonai, but the thing that draws my attention, even though like all that is viable, but the Master Sword being crippled. This to me
Yes.
tells me like there's just such a between the Master Sword being crippled, the Hyrule's technology being sourced from Ganondorf, it just seems like it's a kingdom of absolute imbalance. Like this is not how it's supposed to be. They're not, it just seems like there's this imbalance and it's all coming to a head. And the consequence of it is the Master Sword is just busted, right?
It's
Like,
broken. It's
yeah,
done.
completely busted. And, I'm glad you brought up Skyward Sword and how, maybe Zelda is kind of going through this similar reawakening phase. And, we're starting to see the connections to Skyward Sword all over. We're seeing it in sort of
Exactly.
these Skyloft islands, the broken Master Sword. I mean, come on. Fee, she's coming. She's got to be coming. Do you think Fee's coming?
She's got to come back. She's got to come. She's got to come back because
Yeah.
when I do think about it, I do have a possible theory about the Sky Islands, we get to explore. I feel like that those are going to be like ruins of what was left over from Skyward from Skyward. So because when you do think about it, because in the timeline, Minish Cap takes place, and that's when they actually established the Kingdom of Hyrule. Because of course, Link and Zelda decided to live down there, and that's where the name Hyrule came from after the name of the goddess Hylia.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like this is just going to be leftover pieces or Sky, or could even be even better. I'm thinking like I had another theory that it could probably be maybe what was left over of the City in the Sky from Twilight Princess, because we also had a Sky tribe, so just like the Ukas, because like the Ukas, they developed an ancient civilization in the Guy. Yeah, we do have the Ukas from Twilight Princess, so maybe there could be some leftover, like leftover remains, because I remember like when you explored the City of Sky and like Link's running around, like you can see like Argarok is like damaging bridges to like prevent you from like climbing to the top. So maybe we go to see something like that, like maybe it was like a leftover piece of a bridge, so like that Argarok destroyed when the hero Twilight was in the City of the Sky, or maybe like some like lost relics of like what happened to the Uka tribe, or what happened to the rest of the Sky Loftians, or like the god of the skies, like Levias, because we haven't heard from him in a while either.
Yeah, and again, I feel like this all paves into the whole Tears of the Kingdom title, right? That maybe these are like forgotten tribes, or things that maybe as Hyrule kind of moved from Skyloft down to the surface world, maybe things continued up there and they've been isolated. Like, who knows? Maybe we run into Groos's descendant. There's a descendant of Groos somewhere for all.
That would be awesome.
Like, I'll say this, like, one theory I've had about this is I almost feel like this is shaping up to be a sequel to all Legend of Zeldas. You know what I'm saying? All 3D Zeldas.
Yes.
Because I'm seeing it everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Because like when you do think about it, if you go back to Breath of the Wild, there's like a reference to like everything. Like in course of 3D Zelda, like you have like ranch ruins, like in reference to like the Long Gone Ranch being destroyed by Ocarina of Time, which of course when I first saw that really broke my heart.
Me too.
But like, and then seeing like of course like some islands on like the east side of the Akala province, like having like islands named after like the Tingle brothers, like Tingle, Angle, Knuckle, David Jr. Like there's always like a reference to something though. Like honestly, there's gonna definitely be like a huge connection towards all the 3D Zelda games, especially like with another game that definitely is more like a yes or no kind of thing, with Age of Calamity, most likely.
Ooh, you think Age of Calamity is going to be connected to this?
So I actually kind of talked about this in my stream before, but so like how like the 3 timeline split were like what if scenarios, because like we had the hero of time to traverse from back to forth and into the past and present, and like there were like what if scenarios, like what if Link died against the King of Evil Ganondorf? Of course, you have the fallen timeline. What if Link went back in time to reclaim the 7 years he lost as a child and warned Princess Zelda about the coming of Ganondorf coming to Hyrule? Of course, child timeline. And then what if Link was successful in sealing Ganondorf away before he broke free from his prison? Of course, adult timeline. I feel like it's going to be a split because I don't know. Have you played Age of Calamity yet?
I've played all of Age of Calamity, not the full DLC. I did enjoy Age of Calamity, but I almost got the impression it was non-canon.
Okay. Yeah, because the thing is,
I don't think they've officially stated. That's all I was gonna say. I don't think there's been an official statement about whether or not that game was canonical.
I don't think I remember. I feel like it maybe could be like a yes or no scenario though, because of course we all know in Age of Calamity like all the all the champions actually survived their demise, because we had like the champion descendants like Best Boy Sidehun, Unibo, and like Riju and Teba, like saving the champions from meeting their demise by the Blight Ganons, and honestly, I kind of do feel like since we were going back to like Sheikah technology, I do feel like that the little egg guardian Teriko had a big part in it. Like as to like a what if scenario, like what if everybody died, of course, in Breath of the Wild, or what if everyone survived with Age of Calamity? Because of course, we all know that Teriko went back in time
Hmm.
um, went back in time to like prevent everything, and like of course he was awakened when Zelda discovered her power and all that kind of stuff, and like so maybe it could be a possibility that we might, maybe see like a reference to Terraco and Age of Calamity, because honestly, when you do think about it, like he had like Terraco had these special powers to where he can actually open portals of time. Because like if you go to that cutscene where he like jumps right into the portal because he gets
Hmm.
blasted by the Guardian, and you see like those little Sheikah symbols like floating around. And actually, true fun fact, those symbols are translated to open gate of time.
Oh,
And that is and those are the same
huh.
things that we saw with the Gate in Time from Skyward Sword.
Wow. Again, roping in Skyward Sword to this sort of modern era. That's very interesting. Hmm. I
Hmm.
like Terraco a lot. What's cool is like, I guess technically speaking, whether Age of Calamity is canon or not, you could fit Terraco in there, right? Because he's technically in Zelda's room. And what I liked about Age of
Yeah,
Calamity that I hope Tears of the Kingdom gets into is you got like a little sneak peek at Zelda's mom. You know what I mean?
he did.
And Zelda's
Yes,
mom
because
is referenced I don't want to say so much, but she's referenced quite a lot. You know what I mean? Especially
she
by
really is.
Urbosa.
Oh, she is. Like, like there's a lot of references to Zelda's mother, and like even in the Champions Ballad DLC, to like, you have like the memory of like Urbosa and Zelda interacting, saying like, like I used to remember like how, I remembered a dear friend of mine, and she used to call you her little bird. I'm like,
Hmm.
I was like, bro.
Yeah, quite clear who that is. But that's the thing too. I guess that's something I want to see too. I guess while on Tears of the Kingdom here is I do want to see
Mhm.
more character interactions, and I want more of this story not told through memory. Because here's the thing, I like Breath of the Wild story primarily. I really adore Princess Zelda's character arc. Like I
Yes,
absolutely adore it. I think it's one of her strongest arcs in the whole series. But
agreed.
I didn't quite like the presentation. These sort of scattered memories you have to go collect and find. And, the mechanic of that is cool because it paves its way into world exploration. But I don't want a story told through memory like that this time. I want,
Exactly.
oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, like I get what you mean. Like more interaction though. Like more interaction like with associating with the princess. Because like in games like in Ocarina of Time and Skyward Sword, you were able to interact with her. Like and like
Yes.
yeah, I get what you're saying. Like I wish, I could have actually got to see Princess Zelda. Like maybe she can give me a guide or two to like help me out or what to do. But like I don't want to live everything by memory. And I don't want to like, see Zelda and Tears of the Kingdom at the last minute. Kind of like similar to what we did like in Twilight Princess, because we only saw her for like a few scenes, like one at the beginning, one before she like sacrificed herself to save Midna, and then at the end of the game, when Link and Zelda actually got to fight Ganondorf in Twilight. So I really am hoping we get to see more character interaction though.
Yeah,
Pretty
I'm
much.
with you there too. I love the way they handled it in Ocarina of Time, where you don't realize it at first, but she's literally with you on your entire journey, kind of in your shadow, watching you. If they, if go ahead, all you,
Yeah, I was gonna say one more thing real quick because, like,
yeah,
honestly, I want her to be like more like a heroic heroine, kind of like how like
hmm,
her incarnation in Spirit Tracks was, because like she was able to provide Link with assistance, like being in the Phantom armor and all that stuff. So it's kind of something like that.
yeah, because you know what, like she's the second most popular character in the whole series. People want more of her. You know, I say just give the people what they want and make sure she like obviously the way the game's setting up is that she's gonna go missing or captured or fall or
Exactly.
and that's fine. But I'm with you where it's like okay, either have some way she can project herself onto Link's journey and just sort of be there for the whole thing, or maybe at the
Yeah.
midpoint we find her and rescue her and things switch, or even like I'm not opposed to some gameplay segments of Zelda.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly though. So, I mean, I know there's a lot of speculation going on like, oh, we're probably going to get like a playable Prince of Zelda though. And honestly, I definitely would love to see that because when you do think about it as I was going back to Spirit Tracks a little bit because we haven't played Prince of Zelda since Spirit Tracks. And like
Mm-hmm.
every other game is just like, she's just there with Link and like either she ends up getting captured or or in prison or something else, but having another Princess Zelda would be great just to like experience like her point of view, like what actually happened, like if Link was able to, probably catch her in a cutscene.
Right. And again, I think we can, I don't want to bank on it, but I feel pretty good about it because it seems like this time they're not going to have the luxury of just shoving memories down your throat because this is a
Hmm.
Link who like has been awake and he
Yeah.
has, he has experiences with Zelda, he has all those things. So, I'm not against flashbacks, right? If you want to have
Oh yeah.
periodic flashbacks about like what Link and Zelda have been doing in between Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Like I know
Yeah.
theoretically they've been building up Hyrule, resetting it, trying to rebuild it to its former glory. I wouldn't mind some flashbacks going back and forth between that. But, I'm totally
Hmm.
with you where I'm like, I want Zelda more involved. She doesn't need to be she doesn't need to be the main playable character. She doesn't need to be in every scene. She doesn't even need to be in the party with Link, even though I'd love that. But
Yeah.
I definitely want to see her more involved, right? She's the queen of Hyrule now, right? Because
Exactly.
the king
Yeah.
is gone. She's the queen. You can't just have the queen go. I mean, you can't have the queen go missing because Ganon took the castle. But like I just want to see more. I want to see that this is a Zelda who's grown from Breath of the Wild, and maybe she doesn't doubt herself as much, and she's a
Yeah.
little more sure of
Exactly.
herself. Like that. That's what I want to see. That while they've been gone the last freaking 6 years, they've been growing. That's something I would like to see. I think that's something that could help Tears of the Kingdom live up to its hype. Because at the end of the day, while Link is a great character, at the end of the day, there's only so much you can do with him. You know,
Exactly. You can't. Yeah, and hopefully, like we get to see like more Link expresses though, because I will say I really love Link's incarnation in Breath of the Wild, but
me
I'm
too.
hoping that he can be more expressive, kind of like some of the other Links though. So we'll definitely. So I'm hoping we get to see more of like an expressive side of him, and like
Well, what Link
you
would you
know,
compare that to? What's like the expressive Link that comes to your head?
Toon Link all the way. Toon Link was just very expressive from Wind Waker. He was like just being like involved with like his interaction, like seeing an enemy or
Hmm.
like anything that's like going on like in the game. Like he was just more like that incarnate like Link and Wind Waker was like more expressive. But I mean, of course, he did have his silly moments, but
Yeah.
but honestly, I would love to see more. I mean, I get like, Link kind of felt like out of place because I know he just like been reawakened. He lost his memories and all that stuff. But hopefully, I mean, I'm sure we'll get to see more of an expressive side of him because kind of like how like that was showcased in some of the diaries for Zelda and like in some of the champions. They like say like how Mifa said in one of the memories like I love like how expressive Link really was as a child and like how he was always reckless,
Hmm.
getting himself hurt and all that stuff, and like being a big lover of food, like stuff like that. Like hopefully, after he reclaims like most of his memories, he'll definitely will, go back to that sort of direction pretty much
Yeah,
in
and you
terms
know
of the kingdom.
something? Like off the top of my head, when you said like an expressive Link, I actually thought of Skyward Sword Link. I felt he was
Yes,
very
yes,
expressive. I felt he had a really nice character arc, you know.
he did.
But you know what? It's now that I think about it, because you brought up the whole food thing. Now I'm thinking Age of Calamity Link. You know what I mean? Like I can't get the scene out of my head where the Gorons give him the big rock and they're like, eat
Yeah,
it,
and he's
eat it. And he's like going for it and they're cheering him on. Like that's what I'm looking for, man. That's what I'm looking for.
I'm looking for it too. Like honestly, I want to see like more like more foods though. Like I'm hopefully we'll get some more foods like that we can actually make in terms of the kingdom. But also one thing I do want to address though is I know like in some other in Breath of the Wild we had cases of where like weapons would break over and over again, and we would have to like go find them like throughout the world of Hyrule
Hmm.
or like or given as an award like completing a shrine or opening a chest. One thing I do want to see though, if possible, is what Breath of the Wild I think lacked was like a blacksmith place, like gather like to where we can actually gather
Ooh.
materials to actually help rebuild weapons that are broken, like weapons that are needing repairs or
Hmm.
maybe like an upgrade here and there, like or maybe like something to like upgrade like with Link's new powers, like
Yeah.
that he's gonna get later on in the game, something like that.
Something like that. I actually wasn't I actually kind of like the whole durability system What I didn't like
Yeah.
is I felt like different items didn't have enough variance between how durable they were. Like there was variance. I felt like there should have been more. And I feel like the Master Sword should have just been, you don't have to reach. I feel like you shouldn't have had to recharge it. You shouldn't have had to do any of that. I think the Master
Yeah.
Sword should have just been like the elite sword. This is the one item that doesn't break. The one item you can count on. The one, you know what I mean? I feel like that is,
Exactly.
and I feel like
I
that's,
just
go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say I agree with you. I agree with you. Like I honestly thought like it was kind of silly to like after so many uses like you have to wait about like 10 minutes in gameplay time to like have it recharge over
Mhm.
and over again. Like I'm just like that's kind of
Let
weird
me
though.
use it.
Like
And like
I'm
the
like it's the
Hylian
Master
shield could
Sword.
break. The Hylian shield could
Exactly.
break.
And
I hung that shit on my wall in Hiteno Village the second I got it. I was like, this is never gonna see battle. Absolutely
oh
not.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I built it, I built it all the way. Like I actually, have it hung up on my wall when I actually gave Link his home in Hatsina Village. So I'm hoping I was like, nope, that's not gonna break.
That's
Please
not
no.
going anywhere. What I like to do, and I actually have a big rant to go on after this too. What I like to do in the
Yeah.
house was I took all the champions' weapons and hung them on the walls. Like anything that had to do with the
Yes.
champions, I would like enshrine them in Link's home. Um, Speaking of like Tears of the Kingdom, though, that's something I want to see more of. I want Tarrytown 2.0 and I want Link's House 2.0. I like if this is
Yes.
supposed to be a game about customizing and building, and you're going to gather parts and build these vehicles, all for it. Maybe like you're saying, maybe there's a blacksmith mechanic and we gather materials and they can repair the weapons that break. I would love that. But what I would additionally love, give me Tarrytown 2.0. Let me customize a
Yes.
whole little town, be the founder of a town, and let me build it up because I thought the Tarrytown thing was great, but I would love more.
Yes.
Give me more. Let me do more of that. Wouldn't it be cool? Because like remember, like Link and Zelda are supposed to be rebuilding Hyrule. Wouldn't it be cool if you could build different outposts on the map? Like you could build your own outposts, maybe not full
Yeah,
towns.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like rebuild like a different place or like because like of course we already know like Hyrule is definitely gonna be in ruins. So like definitely rebuild some places though.
Yeah.
Like maybe like
Through
like
side
maybe
quests
like
too. You know?
exactly, yeah, like rebuild like like a civilization for like in the Lanayru territory or somewhere like on Dev Mountain, like customize like our very own area. Like, hey, like why don't we add like another like Goron city to like increase like their mining facility and all that
Right.
kind
And
of
yeah,
stuff.
now
You
you're
you know?
creating this. That's cool because maybe you can create this sort of ecosystem that works with you. But another thing is like the house. I thought the house mechanic was cool. Like I got into the habit of before I
Yeah.
saved and turned the game off, I always went back to Hiteno, always put Link to bed, put him in his pajamas. Like, I don't know, there's just something cathartic about that I really liked. And I would absolutely love if you could give Link a home and maybe add some further customizations. Because one thing I love about this sort of idea that you get a hub for your character is that, like, one thing I think games really struggle with is side quests. I think side
Yeah.
quests, the incentives are usually not good enough and they're very repetitive. Now, you could solve side quests being repetitive if the rewards are epic. And if you can make it so that, like, either by incentivizing side quests or by incentivizing world exploration, you can build stuff for your house or your hub. Like, that's the kind of stuff I want to see introduced. If this is supposed to be a game about building and crafting, I don't want it to just be
Yeah.
about these vehicles. Like, get the weapons involved, get the towns involved, get your house involved. If we're going to do this whole building mechanic, like, let's take it. I want to see it go all the way.
Exactly. Like exactly. I agree with you. Like let's just build everything. Like not just like I don't want it to be like I don't want the main focus to be like on the vehicle. I mean that'll be cool enough for like transportation and all that. But it's like you said, because like we're rebuilding Hyrule though. Like let's definitely rebuild everything. Like let's rebuild like maybe Kakariko Village, which I'm sure is gonna probably get destroyed in Tears of the Kingdom, or like everything else. Like let's just like rebuild it from like top to bottom and to like establish like a new Hyrule, pretty much.
Yeah, especially since, I mean, there's going to be a little difficulty because Ganon's got the castle again. But again, that didn't necessarily stop Hyrule from doing its thing last time. I'm not sure it'll stop them this time. But, again, we're talking about how do you make this game feel like a true sequel and not like it's just Breath of the Wild 2.0, which I'm sure plenty of people would be fine with. But, considering the Zelda series right now is relying heavily on exploration, You need to incentivize that exploration, which is what I think this whole building mechanic is about. And you have to create a lot of novelty new areas, which I think a lot of these sort of Skylands are about. But, you know, one thing I'd also like to see is, you know, maybe on our adventure, and I was kind of touching on this before, but maybe we bump into some places or stuff that Link and Zelda have helped build along the way. And man, I'd love to get the actual champions involved this time instead of them just being ethereal ghosts that you need to release and then they give you a power. Wouldn't it be so cool to work with all those guys now? Like, wouldn't it be so cool to link up with the champions and maybe you go on little mini quests with them? That's something I'd like to see too, is like a partnered AI of these characters.
Like that would be really cool. And you know what? I was thinking about it earlier. Like, I was thinking about it too. Like, I honestly feel like that the champion descendants, like Taba, not Rivali, Taba, Sidon, Riju, and Unibo, they're gonna have like a big involvement in helping reestablish the kingdom in Hyrule, and they're gonna be like the new champions. Like, hopefully, you know, like there's gonna be side quests and like side quests in Zora's Domain. You know, that's where we go talk to Sidon, like, or you know, like trying to destroy another ground area, like somewhere in the territory of Eldon, you know, with Unibo, or like you know,
like imagine this, right? Imagine like, so they're sort of like Yunobo and Sidon, they're sort of like your side quest masters, for lack of a better term. And maybe every time you do a side quest with them, something gets built in Zora's Domain. Something gets restored in Goron City. Something gets built up in the Gerudo Valley. Like, you know, as you're working with the champions, maybe their strongholds and their towns and villages become stronger. And, you know, you can make that a way where now you've unlocked the Gerudo blacksmith and he can craft these really cool spears and like Gerudo weapons and vice versa. I just want to see the land of Hyrule breathe a little more, and I want to be able to interact with it a little bit more. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of hated that, you know, after you beat the Divine Beast, like take Riju, for example. You defeat the Divine Beast, but then you go talk to Riju, and she's got nothing for you to do. And I'm like, lady, we're in a post-apocalyptic wasteland. There's got to be something I can do, you know?
Exactly. Like, give me anything that you can give me to do. Like, you know, like, I want to know, like, what can I do after I said, I just don't want to be given something like, oh, here's an heirloom that Urbosa used, or one of the champions used. I was like, okay, just like, you know, carry on your thing. Goodbye. Toodles. Like, I just want more involvement and like helping establish a kingdom. Like, I'm agreeing with everything you said. Like, I need more involvement. I just don't want to like do this and be like, and just like call it a day. I'm like, okay, bye, see ya.
And again, my biggest gripe, and I've had a lot of fun with open world games in the modern era of gaming. I really have, but I'm starting to get sick of them all coincidentally being apocalyptic wastelands.
Exactly.
We have to move beyond that. It's been 6 years. I understand Ganon took the castle, but Hyrule's a big place. It can't feel like an apocalyptic wasteland now. I mean, in some ways it can, because obviously the castle's been taken, but it needs to feel full. Like, I don't want to boot up Tears of the Kingdom, look around Hyrule and be like, Link, Zelda, what the hell have you been doing the last 6 years? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
I want to see their work. I want to see what they've done.
Yeah, exactly what they've done. Because, like, honestly, what I was thinking about is that I feel like it's going to carry on to where they left off for Breath of the Wild. Because if we go back to the ending of Breath of the Wild, we see that Zelda says like, oh, like Divine Beast Varuta has been experiencing some complications now and then. So, you know, we need to go ahead and go check that out. So I feel like it's just going to carry on to that, like, as they're trying to help establish Hyrule, you know. So maybe like something like, you know, what happened to the Divine Beast from there and all this kind of stuff, or like possibility like help, maybe like imagine like trying to like rebuild the Divine Beast, and like Link himself gets aided by like the ghosts of the champions, like into like learning how to pilot them, you know. Or you can definitely like maybe like craft them in your own kind of way or variation. Like, that'd be pretty interesting to do, you know.
I would agree, and it'd be kind of cool if you could pilot a Divine Beast like you did in Age of Calamity. I thought that gameplay mechanic was fun. But, and I'm starting to see, by the way, we're getting some questions in the chat. We're going to take those in about 10 minutes when we get to the 1 hour mark. I'm starting to see some good ones lined up. That's the only reason I'm kind of shouting those out. So hang tight. We're almost there. But, You know,
Yeah.
another thing I really want to see though, we were talking about how combat was one of the strengths of Breath of the Wild. At least as far as the Zelda series is concerned, the combat in Breath of the Wild was some of the best we've ever gotten. Um,
Yes.
but I feel like Breath of the Wild, just because it's been so long, right? Like it's been 6 years since Breath of the Wild
Yeah.
came out. So like to me, that combat's outdated now. It's still
Yeah.
fun, but like when I play it today, it's like, yeah, this feels kind of old. Because like at the end of the day, Breath of the Wild is a Wii U game that they sat on and waited for the Switch to drop. So I
Yeah.
want to feel like I don't know about you. I liked Age of Calamity's combat better.
I did. I really did.
Okay.
Like honestly, the implement, like the way like how Link was able to do all these crazy moves, like all these side slashing and spin attacks and all this other. So like I definitely want to see that incorporated in Tears of the Kingdom, like in terms of ground combat, because we're gonna be having multiple variations of combat. Like if you go back to Tears of the Kingdom, we saw like this like homing arrows now. Like honestly, I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
I'm definitely am concerned, like what are they gonna do, like how we saw like Link actually riding on grind rails now. Like I honestly was curious about that and was like, huh, like I'm just wondering like what was the concept idea for that and like all this stuff. But most importantly, like um how is it how is like the new powers of like Link going to like implement Tears of the Kingdom of just legit being a sequel. Like what is like Link's powers with his messed up hand going to bring to the table now?
That's the big question, right? By the way, major shout out and love to AluVids, who has just rated us over on Twitch. So I dropped his link in the chat. Make sure you're following him on Twitch. He's got a YouTube channel too. Make sure you check him out. Real cool dude. Thank you, brother. Always appreciate that. But yeah, the whole thing with Link's arm, that's the crux of all this, right? I feel like that's where a
Yes.
lot of his abilities are going to come from. Like we've seen him be able to sort of like bleed through walls and sort of like shoot through the walls and stuff like that, which is very cool. But it almost makes me think, getting back to how this game seems to be paying homage or at least referencing a lot of the past 3D titles. I
Yeah.
almost wonder if this is something with the Twilight Realm, right? Because we see the Twilight relics, floating around and a lot of sort of that stuff. Maybe this has something to do with
Yes.
Midna for all we know. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Oh, and honestly, I do agree. Like, cause like when you do think about it, like you see like the green kind of like you see like the green kind of color just like floating around in so many and like like in some of the trailers though. And like a lot of people like I'm definitely am theorizing that there's definitely gonna be a connection with the Tweely because like when you do
Hmm.
think about it, the Tweely were the ones who were like, they like were capable of being able to play around with like dark magic
Yep.
pretty much because like they were the ones who create the diffuse shadow. And of course my theory is of course like I feel like they also were the ones who also created Majora's Mask, and they were the ones who were they were the dark triad who performed dark hexing rituals, kind of like what the Tweely did. So I feel like there's going to be involvement. So maybe, like, honestly, I definitely would love to see, Minna absolutely make a comeback, you know, in this game because like after Twilight Princess, we don't get to see her again. Like,
Hmm.
you know, so honestly, it would be like mind blowing. Like if we were to go explore like all of the land of Hyrule and like maybe leftover pieces of like that was with the Mirror of Twilight, and then like maybe we can like as far as like rebuilding goes, like in the Gerudo Desert, like maybe rebuilding like the Mirror Chamber and like definitely
Mm.
find a way to like seek assistance like from the Twilight Princess herself, Midna. Like that would be a really interesting concept right there.
Yeah, and again, I think because here's the thing, right? Breath of the Wild for a lot of people was their first Zelda game, right? Like
Yes.
shout out to Andy Brew, it was his first Zelda game. So you have this whole new audience that you've exposed yourself to, and a lot of them haven't necessarily gone back and played the old games. So when you say things like Zonai and Tweely and Majora's Mask, like there's a lot of that goes over this new audience's head. So I almost feel like it's a smart idea to take the pre-established lore from the last 30 years, 30 plus years of Zelda and
Yes.
involve it in this game as much as you can so you can catch this new audience up to speed with what all this is, right? Fee is inside the sword. There's a Tweely realm happening on top of Hyrule that you can't even see. There's just so much of that which can introduce new players to what's
Yes,
going on.
absolutely.
And another question I had, what do you think these sort of like, for lack of a better term, these tattoos that are on Link's like shoulder and his body, well, what do you think that is? Obviously that's the hand he holds the Master Sword in. That's the hand that's got the whole thing going on. But does that sort of send off any like red flags to you? Is there anything in the Zelda canon that shouts out at you when you see these marks on Link's body?
That's got to be something though. Like honestly, like it's got to be like when you do think about it, because like honestly, we already know that Link's hand got completely messed up with the
Oh
whole
yeah.
malice and everything. But the little like bodies like on his like like those tattoos, I feel like that's probably gonna be like a gift from the mysterious woman that we saw in the trailer. Because when you do think about
Hmm.
it, like when she's holding something, like those little gold marks, they kind of look similar to like what was on like Link's chest and
So
all
it's like a
that kind of stuff.
fusion. So it's like a
So
fusion.
like a fusion. So this is gonna be like a fusion. So I feel like this is where Link is gonna get his powers. This is gonna be like some sort of magic that Link has never used before. Because like that's been the thing with like most past 3D Zelda games is like Link has had the power to like implement magic. So I
So
feel like this is. Go
go ahead.
ahead.
Okay. All I was gonna say is that hand the one that's been like mangled and had to be rebuilt and all that, right? Is that the
Yeah.
hand the Triforce is on?
Well, I believe so for this incarnation of Link. Yes, though, because the only two Links that we know that were right-handed that bared the Triforce on their wrists were Link from Skyward Sword and Breath of the Wild. Watch every other every other incarnation.
He's left-handed.
Yes, correct.
So now I'm thinking, so something happens to Link's arm, right? So maybe this is why the Master Sword is like destroyed, because maybe the Triforce
Yes,
of Courage has been disconnected from its host. So without the Triforce of Courage, maybe the Master Sword starts to sort of wither away,
loses
And
power.
yeah, and maybe like who knows, right? Maybe Ganondorf like is in possession of that in
Is in
some way.
possession of it. Or like maybe you would have to like go find the pieces of the Triforce again. Kind of like similar to like what they did in Wind Waker, because like that's what made Link like a hero in that game, to where like he had to discover his potential of being a hero, and that's like when he had to search for all those pieces of the Triforce of Courage in that game. So hopefully, like I don't know if it will be like like you said, it could be anything. Like maybe Ganondorf has the power. That's why when Zelda says like I don't think you're going to be able to stop him, because what if Ganondorf is in possession of all three of them? Because one game I definitely want to go to real quick is A Link Between Worlds, because in that fight with Yuga Ganon had two pieces of Triforce. Like he had his Triforce of Power and the Triforce of Wisdom that he took away from Zelda, and the only thing he needed left was Link's Triforce of Courage. So I feel like that maybe it could be something similar like to that, like from like in Link Between Worlds, like when Yuga Ganon had like two pieces of the Triforce, but now he's going to bear all three of them.
Yeah, and again, that might give credence to what you're saying, where Zelda's like, I don't think you're gonna stop him this time. Um, and that would also explain why he has such a stronghold on Hyrule, right? Because sort of last time Calamity Ganon was able to take control of the Guardians and all the tech, and maybe this time, he's taking control of the Triforce. Um, something, dude, something, because obviously he's
It's nothing.
he's got a hold on this. He's got a hold on Hyrule, and it looks like Link is relying on a lot of new powers and new abilities. Um,
Yes.
so, and again, we're sort of in this age, like this age of Tears of the Kingdom, right? Where it's like Hyrule's gonna have to pay for its crimes, or the dark history of Hyrule is gonna be brought to light. Just things of that sort are gonna seem
Yes.
to me are gonna happen in this game. So it almost seems to me like Link has to earn the Triforce all over again, right? Kind of like how in
Yes.
Skyward Sword, even though he was like the
Yes. And
goddess's chosen one, he had to like qualify himself. He had to earn it.
it was like cause like in Skyward Sword, it was like a test, kind of like
Yeah.
with the Silent Realms, or like a test, and then but mostly like the biggest test, or like more like a final exam, was like discovering the ancient temple of the Sky Keep. that was
Yes.
within like the ruins of like Skywalks. So it's probably going to be like, like this like Skykeep all over again, pretty much.
And again, I would love stuff like that. And obviously, there's been a lot of Skyward Sword references we're seeing.
Oh yeah.
So again, it's not anything that would surprise me. We are coming up on an hour, which I guess now it's time to open this to the chat. I saw they had a lot already, so I'm going to start flying through it to see what we could catch up on.
Give me a second. I'm gonna put on my my laptop charger real quick.
All right, you got it,
Yeah,
man.
give me 1 second.
Take your time. Okay, let me scroll up a little bit because I want to see anything that we might have missed on the way there. I think I saw Stilett dropped a theory. Let's see.
All right. Okay. All right, we're good.
Can't really see. Okay, if you've met a Gerudo, you met a descendant of Groose.
I mean, hey, you know, the Groose is always going to be loose, you know.
Yes.
I mean, honestly, I love Groose, dude.
Groose
is
was a
definitely
great
such a
character. Groose was a
He
great.
really is. Oh, wait, I like how he just went from this jockey Gaston kind of guy, and then like he just became like this heroic person who definitely wanted to have like more involvement of taking care of his friend. You know,
He just wanted to have a role. You know, he just wanted to be a contributor. Which,
yes.
you know, we've all been there, Bruce. Stilett says Zelda's mom is more important to Breath of the Wild's story than the king is. I would definitely say at this point, you know, the king is kind of rendered useless after he sends you off on your way.
Exactly.
Even though like the dynamic between the king and Zelda is super important, as Will's word punched in the chat here. But I think Zelda's mom will certainly be more important moving forward because she's still this sort of lingering mystery, you know?
She definitely is a lingering mystery, you know, and truth be told, like, I'm thinking like maybe, you know, maybe that mysterious woman we saw in the trailer, maybe it could be Zelda's mother, pretty much, you know, we might never know, or it could just be like maybe the goddess Hylia herself, like aiding Link on his quest and like granting him all this magic and abilities, you know, that he can definitely use to his advantage. So like,
Yeah.
stop Ganon and, you know, like help control like, you know, the malice that's messing up his arm and like something like that. You know, it's definitely going to be one of those kind of people. Or maybe, like I said earlier, you know, it'll probably be like Princess Zelda, like fully reawakened as a goddess Hylia, just like how she did, just like her other incarnation in Skyward Sword.
Yeah, and again, you know, we've talked all day about the Skyward Sword references we're seeing everywhere. It definitely had its influence on this game. Shadow Flare, this looks like one for you. Do we expect any gratitude-based side quests like the Minish Cap and Skyward Sword?
Like, honestly, you know, I definitely would love that. Like, you know, like honestly, I would love some more side quests, you know, too similar to Breath of the Wild, to where like things are going to be much more rewarding, you know, like help. Wait, I know we were talking about like materials, so like crafting and stuff like that. Like maybe like give us like materials, so like as like for completed side quests, like give us materials to like help like craft things, or like help reestablish Hyrule like all over again, like something that we need, something that we're missing, you know.
Yeah.
Like honestly, something very rewarding, or like maybe like new abilities that like Link can definitely use, like with his new powers.
Exactly. At the end of the day, side quests are just destined to be repetitive at the end of the day. It's incentive. Excuse me, drinking my water too fast. That makes it all worth it in the end. Kevin Ribeiro says, this would blow my mind if at some point in Tears of the Kingdom, Demise comes back. What do you think of that?
You know, that would be really, really interesting, because honestly, like when you do think about it, like Demise definitely plays a big role in all of this, because in terms of Skyward Sword, we already know that he was the one who placed the curse on Link and Zelda back in Skyward Sword, and he placed that curse on like the people who share the blood of the hero and the goddess Hylia, and thus he was like, oh, an incarnation of myself will rise again. Of course, that's when we got Ganondorf. But seeing him come back, you know, it probably could be like a really, really strong possibility, like for Demise's return, you know, like with all like this malice going on. Because when you do think about it, like we saw like all those remnants of like Demise get like sealed away within the Master Sword, and now that we have this Master Sword all broken and busted up. That must have that must have been like a seal to that was broken, and now he's like out there somewhere like causing havoc and destruction and all this other kind of stuff. So possibility of Demise's return, it definitely could be a possibility. It says now, of course, going back to Zelda's quote, which is like, Link, I don't think you're going to be able to stop him this time.
Exactly. It all paints into that. Shadowflare again says rather than Demise specifically, perhaps the Demon Clan returning under Ganon would be fitting. Yeah, I mean it'll be interesting to see, where all of that goes. Ganon's devout worshippers, see what the Yiga clan has to say about this. And speaking of the Yiga clan, Stilette asks, do you think Riju and the Gerudo will have to hide in the Yiga clan's old hideout from Ganondorf instead of their desert city? That's something I'd like to see too. I'd like to see Ganondorf if he, it looks like he's making a return in this game. I don't want to assume anything, but I'd like to see him have I'd like to see him have a particular fascination with Gerudo,
Exactly, because we already know the whole thing goes with every 100th century, like in the Gerudo tribe, a man is born, and they're supposed to be their king, and that man is always Ganondorf, pretty much. So as soon as Ganondorf comes to play, he's now like the official king of the Gerudo, and he takes charge of everything that goes on within the deserts of the Gerudo. So maybe like Ganon can start like a new army or something, or in terms of the Gerudo, says now he will return, and now he's the reclaimed king that he's always been. So it could be something, but in terms of Riju going into hiding in the Yiga clan, I mean, I could definitely see that, because I'm sure they're not gonna pay any they're not gonna give any alliance to Ganon, but there might be some hardships along the way, because we still have members of the Yiga clan who still worship Ganon, still running around, and of course we still don't know what actually happened to to their other leader, Master Koga, after he fell down that massive pit, because we say he probably might have survived or something,
Who knows? Maybe the pit he falls down and the pit Zelda falls down lead to the same place.
And that can be a huge step to underground exploration, pretty much, when you do think about that.
Yeah, that's something. I'm glad you keep bringing that up, because the first thing we saw of this game was Link and Zelda exploring the underground. We may not just be like a sky exploration, like you're saying. We very well may be going into the underground, and like we talked about early in the podcast, maybe the Shadow Temple gets a little bit of a spotlight here.
Yeah, like the Shadow Temple, or maybe like a reference to maybe the bottom of the well from Ocarina of Time, because that was another underground exploration, because there's a lot of mystery down there as well,
Exactly. So check it. We've got a big old message here from a sage and mod of the lodge, Umbra, who says, I've seen theories that maybe Ganondorf steals Link's Triforce, and that's why his arm is gone. Which my previous comment is intriguing, because I believe it is implied at the end of Breath of the Wild that Zelda had the full Triforce and used it to seal Calamity Ganon. So how would the Triforce split after the events of Breath of the Wild? Maybe that's why Ganondorf wakes up, because he gets quite literally his power back, seemingly because Zelda and Link are there in the room with him. He goes on, but I wonder what would cause the split to happen. Zelda lore fascinates me, but I'm still very much learning about everything. Me too. Umbra says again, to clarify, Zelda's hand when she used the Triforce was the 3 full glowing triangles, right? When she sealed Calamity Ganon,
exactly.
She kind of had all 3 of them harnessed. We've kind of been orbiting that sort of idea that that's what's going on, that Link's Triforce hand has been ripped from him. So yeah, I mean, you're right there with us. I think that's maybe close to what's going on.
Yeah, and anything, if anything, we were saying earlier, maybe Ganondorf can definitely, like Umber was saying, Ganondorf definitely will have them all, and that's why his powers are reawakened. But with the split, maybe in order to get them back, maybe do like a test, by the goddess Hylia, go on silent realm challenges or stuff like that, just to help Link fully reawaken his powers, or see what he can implement that with both, and the powers that he was given with his messed up arm all at the same time into something huge, pretty much.
Yeah, because it's just so crazy because like we've already seen so many new sort of like abilities and things that Link is able to do. And hearing you say all that, I almost wonder how far can they take that, you know?
Yeah, like make the trials like maybe a little like not excuse me, like maybe like not too long, but like a little bit much more longer, kind of similar like what they did with Skyward Sword, kind of something similar like that. Like make them like a little bit more longer, but not too long,
Right,
to where it
because
takes up too much time.
exactly, because you don't want to throw off the momentum of the player and the game itself. You want it all to kind of run smoothly.
Exactly.
Stilette Leray says, "Damn, Born0fKokiri, I would love if the glowing lady was Zelda's mom." Yeah,
I
dude,
know
like
that would be something, man.
it would be something because I think, and like, so there's so much you could do with that because I really feel like the reason Zelda felt as insecure as she did in Breath of the Wild was because her mom wasn't around. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like that would do that. That would do it to anybody. So, having her mom kind of serve as this guiding light, I think would be really cool, right? Because I feel like the king served as Link's guide in Breath of the Wild, even if for just a short while. He kind of had this stand-in purpose as Link's guide. It'd be really cool if the Queen of Hyrule or Zelda's mom came in to either be Link or Zelda's guide. I think that'd be a really nice parallel to Breath of the Wild.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely on the way, In fact, like we may another possibility is that we can probably like in Tears of the Kingdom, like maybe get more of like background history about like maybe Link's parents. Cause like, and one of the memories
Mm-hmm.
we do learn about like Link's father being like a knight of Hyrule, and all this other stuff. Cause like it goes back to the memories like when Zelda's like, you like, like your father was the same way too, like in terms of combat
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. So maybe we'll get to learn about more about like a background history about Link's parents,
Yeah, again, Tears of the Kingdom, right? And then maybe, wouldn't it be crazy if we learned that like Link's father died because the king sent him on a reckless mission or something like that?
Yeah.
Almost something just to really show, how dark the past of Hyrule really can be.
Exactly.
Go ahead. I had nothing else.
No, I was gonna say like because like in mostly in almost every Zelda game, we definitely learn about like Link actually having a family. Like we do learn about like Link's mother and father in Ocarina of Time. Of course, we know about Link's uncle and Link to the Past, Link's grandfather and the Minish Cap, and like of course we also have he has like a grandma and a sister. In the Wind Waker, like I definitely want to see more involvement like with Link actually legit having a family or more like a background history about Link's family,
Yeah, like really, like look, these characters are getting a direct sequel, which is not common in the Legend of Zelda series. So I feel like you cannot pass up the opportunity to develop these characters and give them a backstory that allows us to connect with them a little bit more, you know?
Yes, absolutely.
Will's word says, makes me wonder if we could get the trials of the golden goddesses as well. Maybe.
Trials of the Golden Goddesses. Yeah, I mean, as like I was saying, yeah, like something similar to like, the Silent Realms from Skyward Sword. Something like honestly, something like that, like a trial, kind of like to put Link on a test, that would be a really interesting concept right there for what Link has to do for Tears of the Kingdom. And like every trial will be like a new power or new ability that he gains like for his arm to like learning like how to craft weapons, how to create vehicles and all this other stuff that he's able to do. Like, like learning new moves. Like honestly, I feel like that could fully be implemented in this new game.
Yeah, and I think it would almost be foolish not to, especially if our suspicions are correct and Link has been stripped of the Triforce. I almost feel like you have to lean into that.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Mhm.
No, go. I was just gonna read from the
No, no,
chat.
no, no, no.
So
I
go
was
ahead.
no, I was just saying like I agree with you. I agree with you 100%.
Okay.
No, that's all I have to say. Yeah.
Oh, good. They're going back and forth about the goddesses right now. Stilette says, I
Woo!
definitely think underground area will be just as massive as Sky, if not bigger, which would be crazy. Because again, they haven't shown us much. They've only shown us like cutscenes of the underground. We haven't seen like gameplay yet.
Yeah, we haven't seen gameplay of the underground. I mean, we do know about like how like we see like bokoblins are now establishing their own mining facility. I can imagine like what kind of things are they going to be doing down there, or something, or like. But honestly, I feel like the underground is going to be playing like a huge role in this new game, because like to where like of course Link and Zelda are going to definitely are um they're going to investigate the underground more and like learn more about like what's really down there, and like the red, like where the red malice is actually come from, like what is the core of like the red malice, pretty much. Like
Right.
honestly, I feel like it's going to be like in terms of like exploration for like both for like ground, sky, and underground. I feel like they're going to be like mixed, and like them being widely big, pretty much.
Right. Right. Um, 1 second. Seamus Walter says an epic adventure across the land and skies of Hyrule awaits in The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. The adventure is yours to create in a world fueled by your imagination. So I think he's just sharing the tagline, and this kind of feeds into what we were talking about before, where it's like, Breath of the Wild let you choose which direction the adventure would go. But it almost seems
Yes,
like there's this implication of like you're gonna have even more control over the adventure this time. To the
exactly. Like mhm.
all you, all you, all you.
Oh, oh, I was like, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was like, I agree. Like, it's gonna be more all about Link's journey. Like, like it's just gonna be a big place for Link to like explore on his own. Because I know he had to do that, a lot in Breath of the Wild, but this is gonna be like to where like he's gonna have to do a lot of figuring out on what he needs to do on his own. How is he gonna regain his powers back, and all this other stuff? What is he gonna do to find his way to navigate to a ruined Hyrule Castle, and what he needs to do to seal Ganondorf once and for all before anything bad happens, like the return of demise, or something,
Dude, any kind of return of demise or just homage or flashback to demise, I think would be so cool. Because again, like we're talking about, a lot of people's first Zelda game was Breath of the Wild. So them wanting to give you the Skyward Sword like lore just seems so appropriate because like it's the foundation of the whole series. So if you're Nintendo and you have all these new Zelda fans and you want to catch them up to speed, like Skyward Sword is the game to do it. And that's why they like you can't tell me that's why they chose that one to remaster for the Switch, right?
Exactly. And honestly, I feel like that remastering Skyward Sword was like a hint as to what we were going to expect in this new game. Because that's why we
Mm-hmm.
see like Link doing all this skydiving once and for all, and because honestly, because like that's something that we barely got to see much in Breath of the Wild. So we're definitely going to be hopefully discovering more like, wait, where did Link actually learn to like do something like that?
Correct. Umbra has a very interesting question that that transcends Zelda generations. He goes, random Zelda lore question. How does the reincarnation work with families? Like, would Zelda's mom be the previous Zelda reincarnation, or does every timeline eventually just have a Zelda that is birthed and given the role of Zelda to fit into the whole demise curse thing? Um, I almost feel like it's probably similar to the whole Ganondorf thing. Like every 100 years, a Gerudo man is born that becomes the vessel of demise and Ganon. Um, I feel like it's probably the same for Zelda and Link, where every 100 years, a new hero is born, a new goddess is born, because Zelda is like the goddess in the flesh. So it's like every 100 years, a new Link, every 100 years, a new Zelda, every 100 years, a new Ganondorf. I don't know for sure. Where I get confused is, I would say in maybe half the Zelda games, there's an implied romance between Link and Zelda. Sometimes it kind of comes off as a friendship. Other times it comes off as like brother sister. But sometimes it comes off romantically. I think Breath of the Wild is an example of that. And I've always
Yes.
wondered, like, okay, so if Link and Zelda get, if Link wifes up with Zelda and they have kids, I don't think Link and Zelda can be together anymore, but that's where I get confused on the reincarnations. So I almost wonder if the I mean, Oh God, I don't even want to think about it too much. I don't even want to think about it too
Yeah.
much.
Oh my god. I mean, it could be a possibility. I mean, there's been some times where Link and Zelda have had like that interaction together, like as what you were saying, like they have like a brother and sister vibe or like more friendly vibe, but mostly where the romance is kind of intertwined. And
Yeah.
honestly, another good example of that is, of course, Skyward Sword all over again. Because
Mm-hmm.
honestly, their relationship was just
Beautiful.
perfect and beyond beautiful. Like, and honestly, you can probably agree with me with here, Landy, because like because like I love like how they spend time together, like during the wing ceremony, and then like when she got captured by Girahim with that black tornado, like honestly, it just made me blow my mind and it broke my heart because like throughout this entire adventure, like I really like compared to any other Zelda game, I wanted to go out and save her. I wanted to save her so badly,
That's good
so
storytelling in gaming. That's good
exactly.
storytelling in gaming. And I think they'd be wise to do something like this, where you see Link and Zelda, going down into the ruins. It'd be really nice if like on the way there you saw just like such a beautiful chemistry between them, and Zelda is just like so happy and secure with him, and Link is like, you get that same Skyward Sword vibe, right, where you see them together and it just makes you happy. Like seeing Link and Zelda together in Skyward Sword just makes you happy. To your point, when she gets taken away from you, the last thing you want to do is save and go to bed. You're like, no, I'm playing all night. I'm playing all night because I'm getting her back. I think they'd be very wise.
I'm saving my woman back.
Exactly, man. So I think they'd be very wise to take a similar approach here in Tears of the Kingdom, because again, that chemistry again goes a very, very, very long way.
Exactly. So the one thing I do want to know is that when, in terms of this game, are we going to find out when? I don't think we brought this up, but like somewhere along the line, or right, maybe like in the game, in Tears of the Kingdom, to when Zelda actually cuts her hair.
Well, that's what makes a lot of people think that she's going to be playable to some degree, because some of the difficulty with long-haired women being playable characters is the hair just clips to the back of the outfit. But, if you get some short hair, it's not going to be a problem. Again, why? So, I know we got a lot of Kingdom Hearts fans on this channel. I think that's why Kairi got short hair. I think that's why Aqua has short hair. I think that's why Larkseen has short hair, is so they can avoid... Xion has short hair. Exactly. Just making the point. So that it doesn't clip with the outfit. So to me, when I saw Zelda with short hair, that's immediately where my brain went. I'm like, she may not be playable all the time, but I've just got this feeling we may have a playable segment with her.
Yeah.
Okay, so somebody answered my question. Stilette says, Landy, the hero is not tied to blood, just the royal family. So there we go. Every Link isn't from the same bloodline. Only Zeldas are from the same bloodline. So there we go. Silver Dash also provided an alternative saying, or have there just been Zeldas and Links that were like randomized? You know what I mean? Like even if a Link and a Zelda came together and did the thing, 1,000 years later, there was just some randomization where a new hero is selected. I feel like if you combine with what Stilette and Silver Dash both said, you kind of get your answer for how they can be romantic numerous times through the generation without it getting sloppy without getting too into detail here. So Peach Beach, who is just recently followed us on Twitch. Thank you, Peach Beach.
Hi, Peach.
Wherever you came from, thank you very much. But she says, plus we see the role of women changing in games. They don't have to be set up on a pedestal to be saved. Yeah, that was when games were a little more simple back in the day and there was less room for narrative storytelling. You had to keep things pretty simple. A to B. There's a problem. Save the princess. Go save the princess. We've gotten into a more cinematic age with games that we can, like Peach Beach is getting into, explore a little bit more now. Like we don't, even if the hero has to save the princess at the end, just like in Ocarina of Time, maybe the princess doesn't need saving until the very, very end, right? Like Sheik is a badass. Yeah. Ocarina of Time Zelda is badass. Like, might be the most badass woman in gaming, and I will die on that hill. Come at me, Lara Croft. I don't give a fuck. Anyway, Mr. Prince says, I see two goats on screen here. How's it going, Mr.
Prince? Like, honestly, I was saying this on like, I agree. Like, we've been seeing a lot more heroine women in gaming now. Like more of the women who are badasses. Which, by the way,
Well,
I gotta give it. I
go
gotta
ahead.
I gotta give it. I gotta give a shout out to my girl Samus, dude. Like Samus will always be
She
a
did it
badass
before it was
in
cool.
my heart.
Samus did it before it was cool, man.
Yes, 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 absolutely.
Okay. Willsworth says, not sure if there's been that many romances besides Skyward Sword. So, Skyward Sword, I definitely got the vibe in. I didn't get the vibe in Ocarina. Ocarina almost seemed like a business relationship, and I mean that in a good way.
Yeah, I mean, but but actually, true fact though, there was kind of a bit of a romance hinted in Ocarina of Time in the manga version, though, even though it's just an original story. Though the mangas are like original stories, but I do want to give a shout out to that the Ocarina of Time manga definitely had like a relationship going on together between the two, where they actually like really had like strong feelings to each other, to where you can feel like the love like between both of them pretty much.
And I'll say, I definitely felt it when you were young Link, right? I almost felt like there was a little
Yes.
bit of that chemistry there when you were young Link. But when you're an adult Link, things are just too serious. Ain't nobody got time for that. But
Nope.
I feel like with Wind Waker, there was a little bit of that between Link and Tetra.
Yes.
You know,
Yes. And
whereas with Twilight Princess, it was a little bit, there was just like too much going on to even get romantic, you know?
Yes, exactly though. Exactly. Like there was just a lot of romance going on, like honestly, like between like with Link and Minna. But honestly, I honestly thought it was really adorable that Link actually had feelings for Tetra. And the one thing I can clarify this and confirm it was around the time after you get the bombs from the pirates on Windfall Island. Like if you go to Beetle's shop ship and he'll tell you like, hey, we got bombs, like now in the stock. And he actually asked Link a question. He's like, hey, by the way, are you associated with that cute little pirate girl? Your face is all red. You can't hide it from me. So I thought it's kind of cute that Link has a crush on Tetra. It's really cute.
That is cute. And you see why at the end, right? When you find out that she is indeed, spoiler alert, Zelda. Big shout out to Minty Marina, first time chatter hanging in the chat. Thank you,
Marina.
Oh, excuse me, Marinara. Minty Marinara.
Yeah, we call her Marina though.
Okay. So I don't feel that bad anymore. Umbra asks, is there a Zelda game that doesn't have Zelda? Yes. Yeah, I feel like a lot. Is it Oracle
Link's
of
Awakening.
Ages? Link's Awakening, yeah.
No, Oracle of Ages does have Zelda.
Does
like
have
if
Zelda,
you link them together. Yes, it does.
Okay. Then yeah, Link's Awakening would be your answer. Majora's Mask, she appears very briefly.
Yeah, and then in Link's Awakening, she's just referenced once, and then that's it. But she's not there.
I just wanted to let you know, Kevin in the chat in all caps goes, yeah, he mentioned the manga. You got some points.
Shout out
right
to
there.
you, Kevin.
But yeah, dude, like it's crazy, man. I definitely think Breath of the Wild, there was an implied romance, Like you said,
absolutely, absolutely. Like, and honestly, Link. It goes down to the diary too.
The diary. And stop following me. Come on.
Stop following me.
Stop following me. I need more sassy Zelda in my life. I really do. That's what I loved about the Breath of the Wild Zelda so much. Was she was just
honestly,
so sassy.
I love her so much. I mean, personally, my favorite incarnation of Zelda will go to Ocarina, but
she's too badass.
This Zelda,
you can't.
She's a strong. Breath of the Wild is a strong second, absolutely no contest. But number one, my queen will always be Ocarina of Time Zelda.
Oh, she's a sicko, baby.
She is my queen, dude.
Okay, check this out. I just want to read this funny exchange. Stilette goes, Hylia/Zelda always admits to manipulating Link. She doesn't deserve his love. Kevin Ribeiro goes, Stilette Leray, really? I actually like her. And then Stilette goes, many humans like being manipulated. I'd see a therapist about that.
I mean, you might never know. I mean, there's been like multiple times where like mostly the hero gets manipulated by like the damsel in distress. I mean, like honestly, for one example is like, I gotta give a reference to, my boy Mario over here, like being manipulated by Peach, because like we don't know what that chemistry is like all over again. I mean, like honestly, like the relationship that Luigi and Daisy have is so strong, but as far as like Mario and Peach goes, it's just we'll never know. Like even after the events of Odyssey,
I think the movie's gonna probably help with that a little bit.
Probably.
But yeah, I've always been more of a Zelda kind of guy, not a Peach kind of guy.
Same. Zelda all the way. Sorry, Peach.
Umbra says maybe Zelda's mom is the rat that gets consumed by the malice in the reveal trailer.
What?
That's it. All right. Podcast over.
All right. Umbra's done.
Umbra's
banished.
nailed it. It's over. That's funny. That's funny. Kevin Ribeiro says, hate. Oh, wait. Will's Word says, won't lie, partial to Urbosa. Come on. Who isn't?
Oh. I mean, who isn't really, though?
Thick thighs save lives, okay?
Now,
all right,
now, what? Now, of course, you know, you also got Minna in her true form, though.
Oh, she's a babe. Yeah.
Yes.
Twilight Midna's a babe. Ain't nobody gonna deny that. But you know, I do think Urbosa takes the cake. I do think Urbosa takes the cake.
Absolutely.
Oh wait, KH Guides is here.
Yo, what's up, guys? What is up, guys?
You know what that means. That's right, sickos and normies. KH Reconnect coming to you September 15th through the 17th. Let me tell you something. So KH Reconnect, which is being put together by KH Guides himself, Reconnect is the second event. There was KH20 last year, and the whole reason today's podcast is even happening is because KH Guides and his lovely wife put together KH20 last year, and that's where I met Kokiri, and that's why he's here now doing this podcast. So, last year was such a great time. It's a great way to get everybody together and hang out. So if you have it in you to be there, you should definitely be there. I'd love to meet some of you. But if it's
I'll be there.
You could talk to him about Zelda's mom and Urbosa's thick thighs. He'll be there, man. He'll be there for that. But listen, the good news is if you can't make it, the whole event is going to be live streamed, so you could tune in and hang out. Literally, they're doing their best to make this accessible to everybody. So I'll keep you all in the loop on it. But yeah, let's get back into the chat here. Let's see. Stilette says, I gotta go. I love how this has devolved into the waifu wars. Stilette says, I gotta go old school and say Naburu is the best Zelda waifu.
Okay. I mean, I'll give you credit for that. Yes, absolutely. She is absolutely gorgeous. I agree. There's no contest. No.
No. We're gonna run a poll. I think this is the best way to bridge us here in our conclusion. Best Zelda waifu. Here we go. Shout him out if you know him. Give me as many as I can to include here. I got Zelda. Dude. I've got Urbosa. I got Naburu.
I mean, call me basic if you want, but I still think Zelda's always gonna be. I mean, I love everyone else. I love Minna. I love Urbosa, Naburu. I love them all, but hey, I mean, Zelda will always be my queen, without a doubt.
I threw four options in there for everybody. You got Zelda, you got Urbosa, Naburu, and Midna. I should have put in Malon.
Malon, yes.
But it's a little late for that. Let's see. I will say I do love that. What's it called? YouTube has added this feature of letting you do polls. But it looks like
that's actually pretty cool.
We have a tie between Zelda and Twilight Midna at 44%. And I am appalled that Urbosa is at 10%.
And yeah, I know this is crazy. Yes, I want to point that out to guides. The Great Fairy as well. I mean, if you go to Twilight Princess's Great Fairy, like, whoo!
I almost want to troll and be like, nah, dude, the Ocarina, Great Fairy, that laugh, bro. The laugh of an angel.
Oh my
The
lord.
laugh of an angel.
Oh
Mifa. How
yes.
did we forget about Mifa? I don't know. I guess I didn't go fish lady. I don't think I'm a fish lady guy.
Oh.
I'm not a fish lady guy. Cat girls from FF14,
Dang.
you know, maybe. But fish ladies, I'm not a fish guy. Ganon's mom, though.
Oh no, not Twin Rova. I mean Twin Rova.
My lord. I mean, yeah, we got 10 votes, so we have a tie. You also didn't put, I think you're going to say Malon. Yeah, I forgot. I just put the first 4 on top of my head. Forgive me. The
Yeah.
next Zelda podcast, we'll do a list of like 10, okay? I promise.
Out of 10 best waifus, you know. I'm game for that. I'm game for that.
Oh my god, yo, so Guides didn't even know about Twin Rova. He was just clowning.
Really, guys?
Yeah, he learned something today. He learned something
guys,
today.
I got you. I got you. I mean, I'm about to steal that name. I'll be Born of Zelda Guides. So I got you guys. I got you.
Will says Mifa ain't bad. Fish is good for you. All the omega 3 and such. I'm not trying to cook the lady, but I get you. I see your point. Hey, look, it looks like we're stuck in a tie, man. We've got Midna at 36 and Zelda at 36. Literally, next vote wins. I'll say that. The next vote for either one wins.
Pick my queen. Pick Zelda, please. You know, pick her.
Maybe we'll do a whole podcast about Zelda waifu tier lists.
I'm game for that.
Umbra goes, today I learned Twin Rova was Ganon's mom. I don't know what to make with this information.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot. It's like, well, I mean, honestly, it's definitely is a lot though to say about that with like Twin Rova, because I mean, you know, there's this, because honestly, like Twin Rova definitely does have a really strong connection, like with Ganondorf and all this other kind of stuff. So it's really something though when you do think about it.
Zelda lore is crazy because so much of it is subtextual, right? Like a lot of it is happening in the subtext. Like there's a great video on this, by the way. There's a whole Shintoism subplot to Ocarina of Time.
Yes.
That's incredible. But all right, so we are coming up on an hour and 36. I feel like we've touched on everything.
Yeah.
Was there anything you wanted to discuss today that we didn't get to? By the way, Zelda has officially won the poll. So I'm going to end the poll right there.
Yes, let's go.
But was there anything left that you wanted to discuss before we put a lid on it? And if you're hanging out on Twitch, please stick around for the raid. But the floor is yours, sir.
Honestly, you know, I just want to say, you know, I'm really excited for this game. You know, I really am looking forward to see what is to come. I'm really hoping that Anuma is going to give us some more information, not too much and all that stuff, but I'm looking forward to this game. Also, one thing I do want to address, I know I said this earlier before we actually started the podcast, but in reference to my hat that I'm wearing, but tomorrow, March 24th in North America, happy 20th anniversary to The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker, dude. What a game.
Amazing. A game that caught a lot of flack when it was announced. Like, that's what I love so much. Wind Waker caught so much flack when it was announced, because you have to remember, it was coming off of the N64 era where the graphics were like realistic for the time and dark and edgy, and then they went this toon direction, which turned a lot of people off. But I would say, and that's so funny, because people ripped on it for its graphics, yet when it comes to the GameCube, I don't think any game has aged graphically better than the Wind Waker.
Oh, exactly. It's definitely one of the most magical and colorful games that I've ever played, even on its HD form on the Wii U.
Yeah, Minty Marinara says Wind Waker is the peak definition of age like fine wine. I would 100% agree with that. Will Robinson, thanks for joining us here. We are closing up, but we got a whole podcast here for you. We're going to close it out here. Guys, make sure you're following my friend Kokiri. I've got his links in the chat. He is a great Great streamer. He's got Mario Mondays, Triforce Tuesdays. I see you're playing through Earthbound right now, which is really exciting. So,
I am. I definitely am.
So make sure you're following him. Thank you for hanging out. If you are on Twitch, we are going to raid Kitties and Middies, who's playing Persona 5 Royal, which is a very
Let's
good
go.
game.
I love her, dude. She's amazing.
She's the best, man. She was on recently. We did a whole podcast on Axel, and she crushed it. So we're gonna head over there.
She did an excellent job.
Thanks for hanging out, everybody. You guys are awesome. Kokiri, you're the man, dude. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much. Take care, legends.
Peace.